It's a very beautiful evening, and this is welcoming you to the very first edition of Weekend Politics 2026. My name is Joseph Young, and always a pleasure coming your way. Now, December 2025, we couldn't come on air for those 4 Sundays because of all the activities we had, festivities and carnivals that we had to mark the 20th anniversary of the Carnival Calabar and the festival. Now we are back strong and better this year. This is CRBC TV. Wherever it is you're watching us from, we are live here in Calabar. You can hit us up on channel 27 and also on the app. You can watch us anywhere in the world on Niger app. Just go to a Play Store and download the Niger app and you watch us wherever you are in the world. Now, tonight we have heavyweights in the studio. It will be a way of starting the show with a very serious political issue that is hitting one of the states in the south Nigeria. I have joining me on set, Comrade Castro Ezama is a former special advisor to the Middle Pass Governor on Education. So good to have you, Comrade Castro Ezama.
Happy New Year, Perseverance.
And like other days, you've been putting up articles, you've been writing from various, because today you are speaking from Calabar. From Calabar. Okay, then also have another very regular face that we have on the show, a 2-term commissioner in our state and currently a special advisor. But for this purpose is our special public analyst. I have joining me Honorable Dr. Edem Okokon. So good to have you join us, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Crossriver, and Happy New Year, Perseverance.
And let me say Happy New Year to you, sir. Yeah. And finally, my guest, we have a legal practitioner, Barrister Ekanemesu. Ekanemesu is also another regular face on Weekend Politics. Barrister Ekanemesu, so good to have you on the show. Good evening.
Good evening, hello viewers. My pleasure to be here.
Okay, so gentlemen, I'm sure we are ready and the show is ready. Now, let us take you to Rivers State. Gentlemen, sometime in March last year, we saw, prior to this time, we've seen a lot of political differences between the Federal Capital Territory Minister and his supposed godson, Sir Fubara. And that led to an emergency rule in March, and that ran till September when Mr. President had to lift it. But when we thought that everything was going smoothly, we had hit the agreement and all of that, we now see another round of political hostilities there in Rivers State. Comrade Castro, let me bring you in here. Now, I'd like you to take a look at what has been transpiring from the start where Sir Fubara lost favor with his boss before the emergency rule. I'd like you to take us from there on.
Well, what's happening in Rivers State is, I call it personal interest. First, Mr. Fubara was the Accountant General when Nyesom Wike was the governor of Rivers State. As he was leaving, he felt like an ordinary politician in Nigeria would think to bring up someone that will be loyalty in quotes. And he brought his AG to take over reins of power from him. And it looks like he didn't keep to his master's plan, not the Rivers State master plan. He didn't keep to the plan. And Nyesom Wike is a complete politician that would like every dot of an agreement, whether written or verbal, to be kept. And he went and started hobnobbing with Wike's political foes. And that's where their problem began. Remember, the State House of Assembly, 100% fixed by Wike. Wike, before he even left Rivers State as governor, ensured that as Fubara was elected and sworn in, they screened not less than 4 commissioners that Wike himself directly gave him. And those commissioners were sworn in. Maybe we call them Class A ministries, and they were there. And later on, looks like he was drifting away from the agenda they had, and the fight started. And Mr. President came in. Mr. President is coming in about the 3rd or 4th time into the Rivers crisis, and it's not a good one. For me as a person, the questions I will always want to ask is Mr. Fubara delivering on his campaign promises to the Rivers people? That should be the major focus. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where a godson, like you said, should do the complete bidding of his godfather. And I recall when Mr. Wike was governor of Rivers, he said something that was quite striking, that he's not bothered about putting a successor, that he is seeing successors that have disappointed their bosses before. He cited instances of distinguished Senate President, Senator Akpabio, when he was governor. When he left, Senator Akpabio brought Udom Emmanuel. Udom Emmanuel at some point drifted from the arrangement, and they had some crisis which they tried to manage till date. It happened in Delta State, where a successor did not keep to some of those terms. Mr. Wike uploaded those terms, and we saw them. And for him to have been that conscious, it shouldn't be a surprise to him. Should these kind of things, coming up now in Rivers State? But for me, it's unfortunate. Like he will always say, quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate, you say. Dr. Dem, let's also get your thoughts on the early fight, because several times on the show we've talked about the Safubara issue. Now, do you think this fight was too early for Safubara taking up on his principles, so to say?
Well, the fight was bound to come up at a particular point in time. Doesn't matter whether it's coming up now or but it was certain that it was going to come up. There are certain things that we need to look at, certain antecedents that has come to mentor some of our modern day politicians. Why do I say certain antecedents that come to mentor them? Wike saw what happened in Lagos. Since His Excellency Senator Asiwaju Tinubu left, he has been putting in successors after successors, and it has worked well for him. So Wike, sees it as a good way of, having a chokehold on Rivers State politics and everything about Rivers State. So the Tinubu agenda wanted to be replicated, but here we are not looking at the cultural differences. The cultural differences, the exposure, because when you look, the politics in the Southwest comes from mentorship. Here we do not have mentorship style of politics. Everybody can drift into politics. I can tell you clearly that from the time Tinubu left, the next man that took over was his former lawyer and former chief of staff. After that one left, in fact, when Pedro wanted to come his deputy, he told Pedro he can't come in because you had the son of Omoluabi, let me use that in Yoruba language. You won't be able to say, when I say demolish, you won't be able to demolish, because they will start telling you history about your father, how he's related to that property. You won't be able to demolish. Let's bring in Fashola. The man, Fashola comes from a very small, tiny family in Fashola family in Lagos Island. Very small. It's not compared to the Pedros. So they have been careful mentorship, and this is what we lack in the South. Not as if lack, but this is our own political culture. Anybody can drift in. You display loyalty for a few months as a commissioner or a few years as a commissioner, you become the godson or the governor. This is not the same. Like I tell you, if you look at the relationship between Fashola and Tinubu, it just didn't start in that administration. Fashola was one of Tinubu's lawyer, a young lawyer, who was working in the chamber where Tinubu normally consult. Tinubu picked him from there, made him his chief of staff. So you can see the level of mentorship. After Fashola came Ambode. Ambode was not a strange person too to Tinubu. This was the same man that served in Tinubu, rose to become the accountant general there. Tinubu saw him growing, saw him evolve. And if you want to talk about the present governor of Lagos, the same thing applies. He was a special advisor on and to this moment. So Wike wanted to replicate the same thing without knowing that our culture, our political culture differs completely. That's why I said the antecedent of Lagos as mentor Wike want to replicate same. Why can't I hold? So it's because of the differences in the way we bring up political actors. They're bound to be revolution. They're bound to be a problem, and that problem is what is playing out. Because when you critically look at even the agreement, it will tell you the person of Wike, and it can also tell you that this agreement is undoable. I mean, the agreement they had between Fubara and Wike, I don't know how I've gone through it. You realize that 70% of it is undoable. No human being can really accept that.
Doctor, I'll actually get to that area of agreement. Let me clear. Sorry that I had to still stay on it. Let me put it there real quick. Now, you talk about mentorship.
Yes.
But let's not forget as well that Barrister Nyesom Wike had, while he was governor, he had been, fighting his successor or his predecessor. Sorry, Amechi.
Yes.
So was he now trying to fight him, and he still won? But at the end of the day, did you see that we did not see the mentorship? Will I use the word flavor in Amechi to mentor?
No. But don't forget that when you look at Wike, look at Amechi, look at the other senator, all of them were friends. All of them were friends.
Okay, so the Godfather start with Wike now.
The Godfather now, that because they finish all that, all of them they pick their own part in whatever part they want. They've all picked. So Wike, being the last of the tripod, said, okay, let me establish my own kingdom, let me establish my own dynasty.
Okay.
But the error that also comes out, Fubara was the accountant general, was doing him more of a favor, trying to keep the house, the accounting clean. So Fubara saw it as a man doing him favor. He didn't see him as a boss that is mentoring me to be this.
Okay, great. Barrister Isu, now, well, Dr. Edem was responding. He talked about the agreement. Now, I knew I had to, but so I will not come in opening more on that. Now, looking at this agreement, up to the point that Mr. Wike keeps saying this agreement is agreement. Now, let's look at the difference between a selfish agreement that Fubara would not want to, keep and fulfilling democratic dividends.
Well, beyond the very many words and allegations of facts out there on social media and other platforms regarding the nature of the agreement reached by Fubara and, of course, in quote, his ex-wild political boss, I have not laid hold on the agreement per se, and these are within the realms of allegations. I have not been able to cite any agreement to decipher with stereoscopic clarity as to whether these agreements are actually enforceable agreements, because when you talk of contracting law or agreements, there are agreements that are enforceable. There are other agreements that the law sees as a gentleman understanding, which you may not go to court or what we call the social and domestic agreements. For instance, if your husband tells you tomorrow, I'm going to buy you a pair of shoes as a wife, and he fails to do so, you can't go to court to enforce such agreement because they are considered as a social and domestic agreement. So these are issues that needs to be properly interrogated, because I have not really cited any agreement between Governor Fubara and Wike to be able to say for a fact that this nature of agreement are such that are enforceable in our courts.
But in the realm of politics, whatever it is, which one would Fubara love to start? Because on the political ground, I'm still on you, Barrister. So on the political ground, Wike is bent on ensuring that the agreement is kept, whether in the realm of speculation or in terms of politics. Now, how do we compare that to a man who wants to, fulfill democratic dividends for the good people of Rivers? Well, we are even seeing that the people are even towing towards Wike.
Well, there is an international law principle that says pacta sunt servandi. The sanctity of agreement must be maintained upheld. However obnoxious the content may appear to be thereafter to him. But given the fact that at the inception, he must have been presented with the facts or the terms of the agreement, and he accepted ab initio. So I don't think that being a gentleman and acting honorably, it is germane in the circumstance for him to resile from the agreement. But in juxtaposition of the agreement, or whatever agreement or purported agreement he had with his ex-wife political boss, and the demands of democracy on him to deliver on the dividends of democracy, I feel that the wishes and the welfare of the people takes precedence over any other primordial agreement he must have entered into with his former boss.
Okay. I'm very sure that would be at the detriment of his political career, the way it's going in Rivers State. Okay, Comrade Castro, for the last 2 weeks or thereabouts, Mr. Wike has been going around Rivers State on what he calls a thank you tour. He just wrapped it up this afternoon at Obiokpo, his local government. Now, when we saw the crowd, we had massive crowd in almost all the engagements. This is a sitting honorable minister. Does it appear that the governor has lost the structure?
Okay, talking about crowd. If we are 4 here, if by tomorrow you head into Obiakpo with, let's say 200 million naira, you can have times 2 of that crowd. In Nigeria now, in fact, you can go, somebody from Cameroon can come to any state in Nigeria and hire a crowd. There will be crowd. So we shouldn't be perturbed. I mean, as a person, I'm not worried about crowd anymore because you can rent a crowd any day, any time, as long as we have this money. Well, for me, as an upcoming politician, so to speak, when Governor Fubara decamped to the APC, that would have necessitated the emergency movement by former Governor Nyesom Wike. The first agreement, the agreement they had that I know they reached, which of course Mr. Wike said to one of the crowds, was that Fubara was not going to do a second term. They agreed on that. And that was reached when Fubara was still in PDP. And Fubara suddenly, of course, switched to the APC. Remember, before he moved to the APC, the members of State Assembly had moved. And then he moved, one for political survival. And the next thing we heard upon his movement was the fact that some heavyweights in the APC were endorsing him for a second term. That would have spurred Nyesom Wike to move quickly to begin to do his thank you visitation. And give it to Fubara, he's a politician. Every governor since 1999 have done 2 terms. And he's not going to be an exception. If the Rivers people want him to do a second term, why not? Why not allow him? Nyesom Wike is in PDP as we speak. So if he's interested in putting a governor aside Fubara, he should bring that up. Let Fubara have that opportunity of being refused by the APC first. So you cannot just come in and begin to decide for the APC. The APC is a ruling party. Yeah, one of the things I keep saying is, Mr. Nyesom Wike, at the point he is now, should pick his fight. He's got political, I won't call them enemies, maybe foes, in the 6 political zones in the country. He's not the most powerful person. I want to put the blame of Rivers politics, the crisis in Rivers, first on the person of Mr. Peter Odili. Because he is the father to all these guys.
Yeah, he allowed all of them to
So he like Dr. said here, there hasn't been proper mentorship. Because give it to, after Mr. Odili, the other governors have had beautiful and heavy credentials. Amechi has beautiful credentials. Same with Nyesom Wike. But it looks like they've not been tutored in character. So you don't just come up, you're abusing your boss who brought you. Today I was watching a video of Dame Patience Jonathan when she was handing over Nyesom Wike to Mr. Peter Odili. So they go deliver him. The circumstance that surrounded Nyesom Wike's election was such that if they were going to look at zoning, it was not going to favor him. Because he comes from the same zone with Amechi.
Yes.
But people stood up for him. Today he is burning those lines that brought him into power. So I want to say, take exception to some of his activities. He needs to sit down and take a stock of his political movement. The next person I want to appreciate and then call again is Mr. President. Mr. President should not think that there's a bumper harvest of votes in Rivers State. In the last election, if you put the votes of the opponent of Mr. President, they are more than the votes Mr. President got in Rivers State. Maybe they need to come and learn politics in Cross River. Just recently, the current governor of Cross River State invited from Mr. Clement Ebri. They sat down on the round table. It's not that they do not have friction. It's not that the current governor of Cross River State is not paying debt owed by previous administration, or they don't have squabbles. But see the maturity in handling these matters. Mr. Donald Duke, he's been here in 1999. The day he was handing over power, I'm sure there was an aircraft at the airport waiting to take him out.
Usually, yes.
And he's not been coming around to do whatever, to decide what the governor should do. Same with Senator Leah Limoki. When he handed over, he left. He did not impose on Professor Ben Ayade things he needed to do. So I think they should just take the Cross River model. Rivers should take Cross River model and they'll have their problem solved.
Okay, Doctor, let me come to you because Comrade Ezama raised very critical issues that Mr. Tinubu should not think that there's so much harvest, from River State. Now, why I'm moving this question to is that you have been in the National Population Commission for several years. So you know data, you know everything that has to do with population. Now let's look at River State. Do you think, aligned with Mr. Ezama, that Rivers politically can deliver? Because that's where Wike also is, making so much boast that, like today I was watching him, that they are going to give Mr. President, tremendous votes come 2027. Do you think there is so much harvest there in River State?
One of the problems we have in the South is always trying to compare ourselves with the Northwest, Northeast, North Central, and Southwest. These are people with political culture. Here we are largely independent minded. Secondly, let us go to River State. The second biggest demography after the indigenous demography is Igbo in River State. After the indigenous demography, the second largest is the Igbos. As a matter of fact, Obiakpo is made up of 90% Igbos. The entire upland is made up of almost 60% to 70% Igbos. The entire upland. So what Comrade Ezama is saying is correct. Given the way the unpredictable nature of the southeastern votes, particularly when theirs is involved or are involved, one cannot say that they will harvest Wike or Fuba will be able to deliver what they said. One cannot truly agree. Because when you look at the 2023 antecedent, you clearly agree with us. What was the vote difference? And for all of us virtually all of us tend to make this mistake. I call it mistake, demography mistakes. It's just like, let me give you a small example that you will be conversant with. Recently I was making certain analysis and if you look at this, true. The Northern Cross River, in the last 3 election cycles, have been voting more than the South. Meanwhile, the total registered voter in Calabar and Calabar Municipality put together is almost as big as Northern Cross River. Just 2 local governments. It's bigger. But how come the Northern Cross River has been voting more? That last vote, I think they had about 136 valid votes, 142,000 valid votes. South had 136, Central had 125 valid votes. So, but most cases you see us throw logistic money, election money into these areas. Like I was breaking down the analysis further. If you take an example of Calabar South, for example, as a last count, Calabar had 179,000 registered voters. Yet look at the total vote they pool, about 33,000. That's
not 28.
I mean, pool add all other parties. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yes, add all other parties to about 33,000. That represents about 16 or 18%. Then let's go to the Akpabo that I know. Total registered voter 56,000, and the total vote they put 22, representing 48%. Who has voted more? When you also benchmark it against landmass, Calabar is total landmass of Calabar is 232 square kilometers, compared to Akpabo, for example, 1,019 square kilometers. Logistically, it costs more for you to get one vote in Akpabo than to get in Calabar South. Yet, most governments, most politicians will pour more money into Calabar South. When we can, going by what Comrade Ezama said, when you can actually harvest vote from the other smaller and still make up more than where you are throwing the money to at the minimal cost. That's what will happen in River State.
Okay. Now, I remember very well on Thursday, the House of Assembly there in River State, they were supposed to resume on the 26th or thereabouts. But they quickly had a U-turn and resumed, and at that sitting, commenced impeachment proceedings against the governor and his deputy, Professor Ngozi. Let's look at all of this. is that a right step in the right direction?
Well, I want to establish at this juncture that however aggrieved the House of Assembly of Rivers State is, they cannot whimsically and capriciously remove the governor and the deputy governor of the state. There are laid down constitutional provisions for the removal of the governor and the deputy governor. Precisely Section 188 of the Constitution provides for the procedure for the removal of the governor and the deputy. And a careful perusal of these provisions reveals that the box does not stop on the table of the House of Assembly. Where certain members of the House feel that there is an allegation of gross misconduct against the governor or the deputy governor, they must do so in writing to the Speaker and signed by at least 1/3 of the members of the House. When they so sign, the Speaker, upon receipt of the allegations of gross misconduct, must within the period of 7 days cause a notice of the gross allegation to be served on the governor or the deputy, as the case may be. And that provision goes on to say that the governor or the deputy may respond in writing also to the allegation. And reading further, it reveals that they still need to, cause the chief judge of the state to set a 7-man panel to look into the matter. And the discretionary power given to the chief judge by that provision reveals that the chief judge has the discretionary power to appoint any person who, in his opinion, are people of proven integrity that can man that office. And the information out there has it that the chief judge is on the side of Fubara, So if that allegation is anything to come by, it is safe to conclude that the walk to the success of this impeachment proceedings is going to be a long one, because the panel seems to be the alpha and omega. If they decide that there is nothing to be investigated or that the gross allegation has not been proved, then the matter dies there permanently. So I personally, I don't see. In fact, as a law lecturer, I've been telling my students that the procedure for impeachment of a governor is a cumbersome one, that needs to be rejigged. So if they want to go through that route, which the law says that is the only route to removing a governor or a deputy, I think it's going to be a long walk for them. Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Zamana, there's what we call anti-party, right? And Fubara is an APC member, and we have Wike, who, for at least to this point, we know is a PDP member. He hasn't yet moved to any party. But in one of those his outings, or in almost all, we see APC chairman in that state, making putting on appearance and also making statements. PDP chairman in Rivers State putting on appearance and also making statements. So, are we saying that Wike is too powerful that even the APC members are aligning with him? And are they not also committing anti-party?
Well, there's nothing wrong for people to gather. There's nothing wrong for an APC member to attend the function of the PDP as long as it is for the welfare of the people of Rivers State. But if they were having a party affair, you don't attend a meeting of that, or the other political parties having a serious meeting for that matter. First, Mr. President has brought in Mr. Nyesom Wike from another party to be a cabinet member. So he brought everybody on board. Come, let's fix the country together. So, but for the statements some of them went to make against Fubara, that was wrong. The National Secretary of APC gave an overriding statement to what the chapter or the state secretary or chairman would have gone to say. Again, Mr. Nyesom Wike is having a running battle with the national secretary of the party, because the national secretary of the party was right. Don't dabble into the APC party affair for any reason. Look at the PDP. Is the PDP united? No. Faction, they are very serious faction, where it is only the court that will decide who flies the PDP ticket. That is the faction that has caused the like of Atiku Abubakar and the rest to leave to the ADC. This is not also healthy for Rivers. I give you an instance, like corroborating what Dr. said. If you give Mr. Peter Obi presidential ticket, he will win Rivers State.
Yeah, very likely.
Unless you want to mutilate results there, he will win Rivers State under 30 minutes. They will go massively and vote for Peter Obi. That's a big part as to the disunity that has crept into the politics of Rivers State. So the APC should know that a man whose house is divided is bringing them in. And the worst thing that can happen to the APC is to fall into what is happening in PDP. Because people are watching. Mr. President is out of the country. Amongst other things, he will be trying to arrange his political movement. And needless for this kind of crisis, see, I'm an APC member. I think strongly that if we put elections on the ground now, one man, one vote, we're going to struggle to win if we will not lose. If we go to the field, visit people in the grassroots, there is a hue and cry of suffering. And our leaders have been trying to manage the affairs of this country. Any attempt to ignite somewhere and the fire begins to burn, it will not just be about Rivers State. That's why there is an urgent need to nip the crisis of Rivers in the bud as fast as Mr. President can. It's unnecessary. What is happening in Rivers is not about governance. What is happening in Rivers is about sharing formula, sharing money. We hear that there's 600 billion left in the account of the Rivers State. The revenues that is being generated in Rivers State, how do we share? How do we share power? You don't need to go and have somebody else to take over from you. That is what is the problem of Rivers State. Outside that, there is no other problem. So, for the political parties, remember one again, it's a vehicle that can take one from one point to another. We are going to see realignment here and there. People are moving to the ADC. APC is having 30 governors. They don't have to come to the APC. So that's a good political capital for the APC. So if Rivers, that is also sensitive by virtue of allocation and all of that, you align Rivers to burn, be rest assured that you will be having smoke in some other state. So for members of APC in Rivers, they need to know that they must take dressing as fast as they can, because they cannot just wake up and begin to follow Mr. Wike, who is in PDP, and make statements against a governor that is in the APC. By virtue of the fact that Mr. Fubara moved to the APC, he's the leader of the APC in Rivers State right now. And needless for the crisis here, like I said in my opening, Mr. Nyesom Wike should just sit down, do a critical analysis of his activities. Is it worth the fight? And see how they can realign, most importantly. I think that Mr. President is going to do something anytime soon.
Okay. Doctor, let me find out from you. This is actually the moment that will build up for the 2027 elections. Now, as a politician, Wike seems to have the structure in Rivers State. We see Safubara is a little bit helpless, if we should use that word. Do you think, or who do you think Mr. President would like to work with come 2027 as regards build up to elections, and who is truly on ground in Rivers State?
I think we constantly do this mistake of structure. The structure only helps us in primary elections. Outside then, the people that are going to be general voters have no structure. Let us be very clear about certain things. Those of us who are in party, who are members of political party, are less than 10% of the population. So it therefore means that we have over 90% that are not in your party. They are not bound to, they are not inclined to follow your political philosophy or whatever. They have their own independent mind. They have their own to vote to cast. So these are the people that we are going to be going to campaign, to conscientize, to sell our programs to them. These are the people. So structure does not count with those people. Your structure will only help you to go through primary election. Maybe if it's like you said now, that's weaker structure, fine. That structure can only help him to stop Fubara at the primary election level. But if the people accept Fubara, the ordinary people on the street accept Fubara, then Wike with all the structures has nothing, may not have much impact. And it has to be very clear. As I said, that we have to look at the 2023 election. Mr. Peter Obi had no single structure, no councillor, no nothing, and he can pull such a vote. Which I think is still for those of us who are political scientists, one needs to ponder this issue of structure. Does it really count? Does it really? So if I'm sure Tinubu is a very experienced man, he probably will need the hot nature of Wike to deal with the opposition. But in terms of the calming nature of Fubara, he needs it to stabilize the polity, the state polity for him. So I'm sure he's going to try to manage both of them and hoping that he can harvest the potential that are bound in both of them for his own good.
Great. Okay, President, let's look at, in all of this, what could we truly pinpoint as the implications, for the political crisis we are seeing in Rivers State, as far as governance and development of the state is concerned?
Well, there is a common saying that when two elephants fight, the grass suffers, So in all of this, it is the people of Rivers State that are the receiving end of the whole political saga going on there. And it is not healthy for a nascent democracy like ours. As I usually say, people should begin to diffuse themselves from this kind of politicking in Nigeria. If you install a successor and it appears that the person is no longer willing to do your bidding, it is honorable to just quietly allow the person and go home, rather than coming to put up all of these shows that we are seeing here and there. If you look at the way the polity has been heated in Rivers State, it is one that even when I've listened to my colleagues here in the studio who are saying the president need to interfere, this is a peculiar situation within the Nigerian political landscape, and the president needs to exercise caution and care in handling this issue, because this is going to serve as a veritable precedent for the future. So if you don't handle it with care, Wike is not somebody that you can dismiss with the wave of the hand. Fubara also, given the fact that even though we want to say he's now a member of the APC, when did he join the APC? There are allegations here and there that he still have his allegiance scattered all over other political parties in Rivers State. So these are issues that needs to be properly studied, and restudied, so that even the president would not commit a very fundamental blunder. Mind you, Rivers State is a veritable platform as we speak now, because if you look at the happenings in Nigeria, the northern political hemisphere appears to be uncertain, So, however you want to, at the last election, what happened in Rivers, in Lagos, the president did not win in Lagos. So, Rivers is still a platform where we need to, the APC family needs to exercise due diligence and caution. So, my advice is that we should not just rush into taking political decisions, because however you want to look at the lousiness of Wike, it is needed for tomorrow, And as a doctor has said, the calmness of Fubara is also needed for tomorrow. So we need to balance this interest and see how to amicably resolved. It is not too hard for the president to come out and say, Wike, I've sacked you, or Fubara, you have overstepped your bounds. But these are issues that need diligence. And I think wisdom would take preeminence on the president or prevail on him to be able to resolve this matter amicably.
Okay, great. Mr. Ezama, a lot of people are, I mean, if you hit the street, excuse me, and try to put out questionnaires there, you notice that about 90% are pointing accusing finger, at Wike. So, Comrade Ezama, is it that Fubara is a saint? Is it that does not also have blames in all of this?
No, the problem with Wike, why you see that huge percentage against him, it's not about Fubara. Wike has a problem inside with Cross River. He abused our state before. So he had a running battle with the former governor of Cross River State. He has a problem with, they have cold war with Akpabio, as you see them. You move to, in River State, he has a problem with Peter Odili. He has a problem with Peter Odili's wife. She's a big figure that helped him. He has a problem with Amechi. He has a problem with Celestine Omehia. Now, the security cycle. Remember the young military guy whom he had problems with. In the FCT that he's been given, remember most of those North Central people are not comfortable with the fact that he was given a South person was given such a huge place, leaving North Central. So he has not been able to balance that. I give it to him, he's doing well as a minister of the FCT. After Nasser El-Rufai, he comes next to the developmental strikes we are seeing in Rivers.
FCT,
in the FCT. So he has problems with a lot of people. Is it Atiku Abubakar? Is it Tambuwa? El-Rufai? And he abuses them openly. And these guys are keeping quiet. These are not people you just throw with the wave of our left hand. If they sit on the table to reconcile with Mr. President, and the third president, we want this guy off for us to talk, he will throw him out. It happened in Kano State. The former national chairman of the APC. You saw how they quietly took him out. We not yet clear why he's taken out. I am sure that if Mr. President has a clear road to do Muslim ticket, maybe Kwankwaso will have a discussion with him. Kwankwaso right now is in the market for VPship or presidential ticket. So, if you have these enemies around you, that's a problem. Remember, the state of emergency, that was the wisdom of Mr. President. Wike was understand that they should throw Fubara out. It was the wisdom of President Tinubu that brought about the state of emergency. The part of Rivers that Fubara comes from, the people are not happy with Wike.
Yes.
Don't leave this crowd. I don't do crowd thing in politics because I've learned bitter lessons in crowd thing. You think you have the crowd. In the last election, you saw crowd everywhere. But when it comes to voting, let me digress. I had a meeting with former Governor Lea Limoke, and I was telling himself and I said, the presidential election, Peter Obi was going to win. And they said, no. Who is the what chairman? Do I know what I should mention what chairman of the Labour Party? I said, no. What I am sensing is not going to be about a structure like Dr. said. Peter Obi won Cross River State before 6 p.m. So Wike has lots of battles here and there with people. He is not loved. Like I agree with you. Not that he's not a good person.
I mean, Fubara also a sense that he doesn't have a hand in all of this.
No, Fubara is not the same.
Yes.
Fubara, see, Aristotle said we are all political animals. He has not been playing good politics. The language, politics has their own language, different from what we are talking here. It looks like Fubara is not using the language of politics. Because if he's truly using it, people cannot be detaching so fast from him. He is being the accountant general. I hear that accountants don't throw out money. But as long as he's in politics, he must speak that language of throwing out money, not carelessly. So that he needs to do. Wike is very good at doling out cash. He is very good at it. Fubara, who has been a student of Wike, should be smart enough to know his master's weaknesses. It should be smart enough to know when to fight, when not to fight.
Okay, let me play, still on this issue. Doctor, September, he came back to the office, September 18, and barely 3 months or thereabout, we saw Safura crossing to the APC family. Excuse me. And he made this statement that we can't forget in a hurry, that he is now the 001 in Rivers State. Was that a way to spite Wike, his boss?
No, but he was stating the obvious. Going by APC constitution, the governor is the leader of the party. So he's the number one person that is in charge of the party in the state. So I don't think it was just being assertive that he is now in charge of, in quote, the political structure of APC in Rivers State. Truly, like the comrade I said and the learned brother here has also said, Wike is not part of APC. He's not a member of APC. Now that Fubara comes, it makes him and he's the governor, so that makes him the 001 of the state. So he was just trying to assert his authority, trying to let everybody know that I am now in charge of the APC structure. I'm also the head of the government. But
was that really necessary as a politician?
Yes, of course. Sometimes you need to send clear message. Sometimes
they just came out from a battle with his boss.
Yes.
That the president settled. So that Wike is
unfortunately the vice said he didn't see. I've seen part of
the agreement.
Part of the agreement was that Fubara should not cross into APC. And he did. But like the lawyer said,
that's what I'm saying. If he was told not to cross into APC,
but
he crossed and said it's 0, that to me,
the constitution gives you the power of association, the power to join anything. So why should we now obey the responsibility of?
Okay, let me quickly comment to. We need to wind down now. The bad guys are trying to give us sign that we have our time is almost up. Bryce Esu, INEC has not yet released, though we saw something that was out, though they came out to say no, that's fake. We know that election, the campaigns, there's what they call it, has not been, the time is not yet released, so there is an embargo on anything. But we see all these outgatherings of Wike and all of that. They will likely picture it as thank you. But they make mention of 2027 is an outright campaign for Mr. President and for whoever would come up in 2027 in Rivers State. Is that not a breach of INEC's guidelines?
This speaks to the issue of being in power, and government of the day. These are issues that, upon careful interrogation, can be misinterpreted by the opposition, But as you rightly said, he came under the toga of a thank you visit, across the state. And in that visit, one way or the other, he was able to pass the message that, they are standing on the mandate of Mr. President. You cannot clearly say that is jumping the gun, because that is not done by Mr. President himself. And he did not say that Mr. President sent him to do that. So if you want to interrogate this within the provisions of the law, I don't think any infraction has been committed.
Okay, so quickly, let's wrap up our thought in 30 seconds. We're almost out of time. Let me start with you. Let's wrap up our thought. How can all of this, how can we strengthen democracy in Nigeria? Will all of this happen?
Well, most importantly, we need to be sincere. Let's search our conscience. He who goes to equity must go to equity with clean hands. For the court of equity is the court of conscience, where truth is the judge. Mr. Wike should search himself clearly. What he's doing, is it for the good of Rivers State? Mr. Fubara should also look at himself. Who is the person God used to make me governor, aside the Rivers people that voted? They should come together and fix Rivers State. A lot to be done there. Rivers has about 3.8 million people, and how far they enjoy dividends of democracy. We want to see Rivers grow. They are our distant sister states, and we want to see them grow. We're in the same South-South geopolitical zone. It will be painful that after all that Mr. President has done for the Rivers people with the huge allocation, the first president since they are returned to democracy. He has pumped so much money to our respective states. We must not betray Mr. President.
Great. Dr. Adam, let's also get your thought. Wrap up your thought.
I think basically there's nothing to fear. This is democracy in play, because democracy is about horse trading. So you see what we see between Wike and Fubara is horse trading and a negotiation taking place. Ultimately, sometimes these things are hyped by the media. Ultimately, they will come to an agreement whether for or against. We will definitely get someone.
Absolutely. Vice President.
Well, I think that the ungratefulness of Sim Fubara should be swallowed and stomached by the political maturity and large-heartedness of Wike, so that there can be peace in Rivers State.
Absolutely, so that there can be peace in Rivers State. And this is how we want to end the show. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being my host, my guest. In the last 15 minutes or thereabout, we've been looking at some serious political issues there in Rivers State. And truly, like one of my guests said, it has a way of playing around us here in the South Nigeria. I've been talking with Comrade Castro Zama, former Special Advisor Education. Thank you very much, sir, for your time on the show with us. Not forgetting Honorable Dr. Edem Okokon, public analyst. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Barrister Kanibesu, legal practitioner. Thank you so very much for your time on the show.
It's my pleasure once again.
Okay, dear viewer, this is where we have to draw the curtain on the show. Let's do this again next week, Sunday, God willing. Till then, my name is Joseph Ian. Have a beautiful evening. Good night.